So whatever did happen to those pictures that were taken by the Calgary City Police at the Rebel Live event in November 2018? It's a very good question.
When I was low, I was feeling kind of ranty, so I put on my big girl panties and started up a YouTube channel with nothing but soul.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a quick update video on a video I made about 2 months ago. It was called The Rebel, a Rising Police State in Canada. I'm going to leave a link in the description below if you want to get a little bit more context. I recommend watching that first. However, if you don't have time, I'm just going to try to give a brief overview of what happened. So back on November 10th, I think it was, I was performing at the Rebel Live event in Calgary, Alberta. I did some commentary. I did a set of 3 songs. There were several speakers there that day. Maxime Bernier was the keynote speaker. Lindsay Shepherd was there speaking about freedom of speech on campus. I got to meet her, pretty amazing. Brad Trost, the MP I interviewed on my channel, and plenty of others. We had a nice barbecue lunch. Everybody was very, chatty, and it was really positive. There was really nothing going on. It was very tame as an event. We did have some police presence, I understand, later on in the day, because we had an Antifa protest going on outside, some kind of anti-hatred or anti-racism group of some kind, and then a counter-protest to them. So I didn't see any of this, but I understand there was a little bit of a kerfuffle outside, nothing too intense. So all of that being fine and dandy, I got home and I found out on Twitter that there were photos circulating of members of the police taking pictures of people's license plates in the parking lot outside. We were in a really large church for this event, and they were taking pictures in this open parking lot. So this, I found a little bit odd. It was a little bit disconcerting, and a couple weeks later I decided to go ahead and call the Calgary City Police and determine why, number one, they had come at all, number two, what they had done with the pictures, whether they had them. I assume they do, since someone sent officers out to do this. They must have something on file. And the third is whether that information had been sent to anybody else. So I did call to ask those questions, and I got a whole bunch of, beating around the bush, and I didn't get an answer to any of those except, well, yeah, the police came, but it was because of world events, and there's tension, and they wanted to keep the peace. Okay, fine. And I was very gracious, and I thanked her, whoever I spoke with. I'm not sure if it was an officer or someone else in the admin department, but she had spoke with a supervisor to give me these answers and advised that, they sent people out because of this concern. And I thanked them and said, thank you for coming out and taking care of us and protecting the citizens. That's what you're meant to do, and I have no problem with that. Of course, being that there was Antifa there has to be a police presence. I totally get it, but why did they take pictures? And she couldn't answer the question until she came back and said something about collecting intelligence, which is on the, I believe, the recording that I took. There's sort of a vocal recording in the video below. So she said something about collecting intelligence, and I said, that sounds kind of strange, and she backtracked. No, that's not what I meant. Anyways, long story short, at the end of the conversation, with no answers put forward at all, she gave me the advice to go through with a FOIP request. And a FOIP request is a Freedom of Information and Privacy Act thing. It's in Alberta, so it has to do with just the province. You fill out all your information, your license plate, your name, whatever else you're wanting to know. Are these records somewhere in the province? You have to try to send it to the right department. Now, that was quite an interesting experience because no department really matched up. And by the time I spoke with about 3 or 4 and emailed back and forth different people, I finally got it to the right area. So this took a little while to process. And then I got a call one day, a couple weeks after that, from a nice lady in some sort of government department. I don't remember at the moment, but she advised me that there was nothing coming up under the records I gave her, but she was stumped. And because I had caused a little bit of a stink, it was very adamant. She knew that I wasn't going to let it go, so she had called for more clarity to try to understand what I wanted. And she was a really nice woman, but we kind of got into a little bit of a deep discussion by the end, because she asked at one point, okay, well, let me Google you, and she came up with my name, the Rebel, and came up with an interview that I had done shortly after with Sheila Gunn Reid about walking away from the left. And so she says, do you know what comes up when you Google your name? And I said, I'm pretty sure, yeah. What do you see? And she said, well, Sheila Gunn Reid. And I said, yeah, she did an interview and she was at the event. Oh, okay. Well, I was just wondering because she's, kind of a character. And she kind of, breath went down, and she kind of knew, it sounded like she knew she maybe shouldn't have said that or finished the sentence, but it was too late. And it just made me upset. I guess you could say it triggered me, right? And I gave this woman a nice long lecture, rant style, to basically explain to her that it's nonsense that we are judging people as to who they are based on what the news tells us or what these people tell us. Because I explained to her how wonderful and normal and average Canadian Albertan girl that Sheila Gunn Reid is. She's fantastic. She's warm and kind and gives great hugs and has beautiful kids that helped out during the show. So it's really frustrating to me when we demean each other as Canadians. And I got into this whole thing with her about why I was concerned about these photographs being taken. That it's not me. I don't care. Throw my name in whatever database you want. I'm a YouTuber. I'm taking these risks as it stands. But don't you slander the 70-year-old that came up and thanked me for singing the anthem because he was so grateful he hadn't sang it in 5 years. Don't slander the veterans that we did a standing ovation for. Don't you slander these good Canadians and put them in some kind of crappy hate crimes database, because apparently it was the hate crimes unit that came out. And I explained to her that if we're at the point where those nice regular conservative people are the ones that are considered neo-Nazis and everything else, then Canada's in trouble and we all need to reconsider what we believe. And by the end she was speechless. She didn't know what to say, but I could tell I had, if nothing else, made this woman think, and I took it as a win. I couldn't beat the system, but I at least got one woman to take 5 seconds and be like, hey, why do I think that Sheila Gunn Reid is a neo-Nazi? I don't actually know her. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the rebel's not the devil, blah, blah, blah. Maybe she didn't think that. Maybe she got off the phone and thought, wow, that woman was awful. But I suspect, from judging of my, my own intuition of human behavior and interaction, that she actually did think about some things, which is good. So we'll leave that there. Finally, she says, okay, I'll send this information off. I'm hoping we can find out something for you. About 2 weeks later, I get another email. This one says, okay, they've gone through all departments in Alberta. They just went through and ran it all the way and did not find my name or my license plate anywhere. So that's basically the answer that I have. I am not on any records provincially in the government of Alberta. However, I still do not have an answer to any of the 3 questions that I originally called asking. Number 1, why did they take the information in the first place? What was the intent? Number 2, are their photographs stored somewhere within the department in the City of Calgary Police? And if so, why aren't they telling me? And the 3rd, did that information get sent to an external source such as CSIS or some kind of hate crimes database nationally? Because if that is the case, again, not about me, but just the wonderful people that were there, if these people are in fact in some kind of a database like that, if one of their license plates is in that group of people who were sent away and no one's telling us, A, why won't they tell us? That seems awfully suspicious. I said that to the woman too. It seems odd that no one will tell me. And she's just like, yeah, and couldn't really say anything. And if they're not going to tell me, then yeah, I'm going to be suspicious. So I have nothing to give you as an answer except for more questions, which actually makes me question it that much more. I'm not sure if I'm going to pursue it. I could keep calling back to the Calgary City Police, and I could try to talk to the up and ups that had maybe made the call in the first place, but I'm not sure how much effort is worth going into this. I would rather see you guys go ahead and try to help the rebel right now through their legal stuff. Rachel Notley is really just trying to push them out, and they don't have the media funding that Trudeau gave everybody else, it seems. So please do take some time, if you have some funds to spare, to the rebel media. I think they could use your support right now. And regardless of what you think of them, at the end of the day, regardless of whatever narrative you think they push or bias you think they have, I mean, all media's outlets have their bias to some extent. At least they admit that they have a bias. At least they don't pretend to be something they're not. And at least they're willing to talk about the issues that Canadians aren't allowed to talk about. We're not allowed to, in society, in the court of public opinion, talk about these issues without having our characters assassinated. And they're one of the few outlets in Canada that will speak to those issues that Canadians want to learn about without having to go through the mess that is our mainstream media right now. So that's all I have to say for this particular video. Lots to come this month, little snippet videos that have to do with gender roles and anti-feminism stuff, which is a totally different topic than this, but I wanted to make sure I got this out there for any of you that were curious about what went on. If you were at that event and you parked, I do encourage you to call and make your own request. If enough people call, maybe they'll have to give someone information. I don't know. To me, the system's a bit broken and I don't have a great deal of faith. But alas, it is what it is, and I will leave it there. So if you enjoyed that content, I ask that you please throw a like on the video. It really helps me out. And if you're interested in more content, please do subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss any upcoming videos. And as always, be good to each other, but not because the government tells you to.